On the economic outlook, Clifford Bennett joining us now from ACY Securities. Clifford, good morning again. So I think this time last week it was all looking fairly negative as far as the COVID outlook in Australia is concerned. Has anything changed? What's your outlook? I mean, there are obviously concerns that this lockdown in New South Wales is going to be extended for a considerable amount of time. That's clearly impacting the economy. What's your outlook?
Well, I think I'd be betting on an announcement soon in the next couple of days that we're probably going to be in lockdown in Greater Sydney until September 1 to try and create some sort of definitive clarity on when we might come out of this. I think it is starting to wear a lot of people down. And of course, a lot of people are suffering quite significantly. There are good points to be made on both sides of the argument, but there is no doubt that a lot of families, small businesses, medium-sized businesses may not bounce back from this lockdown. And there's a very human tragedy sort of side to things as well as the economic that I'm sure the government's doing its best to address, but is becoming more and more real as this lockdown goes on. I think the economic impact for both New South Wales, certainly, but also for Australia is sort of moving into the more permanent area in that, small business employs 70% of Australians of the workforce. And some of those, not the majority, not perhaps even a great number, but certainly some of those are probably going to close permanently coming out of this. And the ongoing stress, if you like, to small businesses of will this happen again is certainly taking its toll in terms of business investment going forward. I think in the last sort of, phase one, the original COVID version, people saw it as a temporary thing. We'll get through this. Let's renovate our cafes and restaurants. Let's grow our market share. Let's spend money on advertising by big corporations. But I think this time around, people are realizing even with vaccinations, there may still be the occasional rolling lockdown, which is, the worst case scenario to have that ongoing uncertainty. So I think there will be a weight on the economy going forward. I don't think it's going to be everyone staying at home and shopping and spending and buying the new sofa and the new fridge and the new computer because they've already done it. So this lockdown period isn't going to have quite the economic recovery that the previous one saw, which was in a way a euphoric release coming out of that first wave of COVID. People just excited it was all over and went out spending and went back to life with a fair amount of glee. I'm not sure we're going to see that this time.
Yeah, and of course, last time we had the benefit of JobKeeper, a lot of pressure on the federal government at the moment to step up. Obviously, the New South Wales government giving its own support there, but are you seeing perhaps the need for some form of JobKeeper to return?
I mean, both state and federal government level, they are claiming that their more targeted response is more effective. There is an argument for that. There are a lot of people on JobKeeper last time who probably shouldn't have been on JobKeeper, but I always think it's better to probably be giving it to people who shouldn't be getting it rather than not giving it to people who really need it. And I think the less wealthy in our community are the ones wearing most of the weight of this. So some form of JobKeeper, perhaps modified version, would be a good idea.
All right. How are you looking at the currency at the moment? I mean, clearly the Aussie has been under pressure. Given where the Australian economy is at the moment and that outlook, what's your forecast?
Well, the economic reality doesn't seem to have impacted the share market too much, either in the US or in Australia. And there are reasons for the flow to the US. I think it's a lot of people being very uncertain in the rest of the world who have wealth, channeling it to a more certain location in terms and seeing upward price action in the US stock market, channeling it there. For the Australian stock market, it's kind of following the US lead, but I'm not sure it should be. Which brings us now to the Australian dollar. I do think, by the way, I'm sort of hearing in discussions that a lot of hedge funds in New York are still caught long the Australian dollar, even after the 5-6% fall we've already had. As you know, my target for some time, since above 77 cents, has been for the Aussie to move to 70 cents. The risk could be a little bit greater than that, even to 68.50. So this will be a boost to exporters. So that is a reason for buying mining shares. I am a little bit bullish on gold for the same process that's happening with US stocks. So that will help support the Aussie as well. The Aussie is due to have some kind of bounce, But at the moment, it is looking just very, very heavy and lackluster. And I think there are still people in the market who need to get out of their long positions. So I do see the Australian dollar remaining vulnerable in the short term as well as in the big picture outlook.
Clifford, always good to get your view. Thanks so much for
Thank
joining
you,
us
Andrew.
from ACY.